Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is not quite 3:30 yet, but if you will, please access the information in the chat. There is a link for signing into this particular PD. So if you will access that link and sign in, we'd appreciate it, and we will get started shortly. All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is now 3:30, and we are going to begin our PD in a flash. We do realize that this PD is virtual. However, to make it feel a little bit more like it's in person and to see you guys engaging in this information, I do ask that you turn your cameras on so we can participate and engage with each other. We can collaborate with one another to make this time that we have a little bit better. So please, if you will, please turn your cameras on so we can see your faces. I know it's been a long day and you are probably ready to go home. I promise not to keep you too long, but we do want everyone to engage. since you did sign up to participate, we do want as much engagement as possible. And you will need to be speaking with each other in your breakout room. So again, please be sure to have your mic muted and your cameras on. All right, Ms. Stokes has placed the sign-in sheet. If you have not signed in already, the link for the sign-in sheet is in the chat. So please make sure you do that. You sign in so you can receive credit. And I will begin. So today's PD is about academic language. And I want to know from the participants, what is your definition of academic language? What do you define academic language as? Anyone? Anyone? Wait time. So let me see this. How many people are actually paying attention to the presentation? Hands up. I just need to see who's actually paying attention, because we do need to get some feedback from some of the questions asked. All right, thank you. So again, if you will, please make sure your camera is on and your mic is muted. We'd appreciate it, because I need to know who I need to see the faces I'm talking to. So can anybody share with the group what your idea of academic language is? Just what your perspective is. Doesn't it have to come out of Webster, dictionary.com? Just what do you think academic language is? Because of course the goal is to ensure that you have an understanding once you finish.
I guess the first thing that comes, hey everyone, my name is Miss Impero. The first thing that comes to my mind, I automatically thought of standards, like curriculum standards.
Okay.
So
that kind of formal language.
That's what drives. Normally, that's what drives any type of formative or summative assessment at the beginning of the school year. We kind of look at, even with our curriculum frame. So
right.
That's the first thing that pops into my mind.
Okay, if that language used to guide learning. Anybody else have an idea or want to share what their perspective is of academic language? But thank you, Ms. Tempero, for participating. I appreciate you. So basically, this presentation was presented at the WIDA conference by Nadra Shami. And this is an activity that she uses with her EL students. However, this particular activity helps all students learn academic language and be successful in any content area. This particular strategy can be used in math, science, social studies, and ELA. It can be used in technology. It can be used in STEM. It can be used in any content area to help all students, not just your ELs, but all students participate in close reading and develop academic language. So in doing research, we see that, the Glossary of Education Reform defines academic language as language used in classroom lessons, language used in books, on tests, in assignments, and language that students are expected to learn and achieve fluency in. So it's not just that the vocabulary words, it's not just jargon that's used for a specific content area. It's the basic language students need to know and understand to be successful in any content, no matter how big or small the word is. They don't have to know just what photosynthesis means, but they actually need to know what collaborate means. They need to know what joining forces means. So they need to know any words. So simply stated, it's the language students need to do, the students need to learn to do work in schools. It's that simple. And that's almost your everyday language, correct? So we're going to get into this particular strategy. It's comes in 4 rounds. So the first round is the focus on the actual vocabulary that you'll pull out of a piece of text, a short text. Then you're going to make a connection, the students will make a connection from the academic vocabulary to a visual, and then they will engage in the close reading. So as you can see, the close reading is the third activity in this particular strategy. And then it sums up with writing. So writing is not something that should be reserved for a particular day of the week or the month. It's actually a part of the reading process. And we're going to go through that. Do you guys have any questions so far? I'm sorry, I didn't see the chat, but someone, Miss Williams said, language used for different subjects and standards. Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge you for participating. Thank you. All right, so the first round, academic vocabulary. In this strategy, there are 3 steps to this first round. So it also involves with pre-planning, because this is where teachers have to go through and read a piece of short text. You actually have to create manipulatives with the academic vocabulary that you pull out, or the academic language you pull out. So the first step is to explore the words. The second step is to connect the words. And then the third step is to make a sentence with these words. So let's get started with this. And you guys are going to go in breakout rooms and practice this on your own. Pre-planning. So again, you will have to, as the teacher, if you're going to implement this strategy, you're going to have to find a short text. And what is the one place most teachers can go to find short, engaging texts? One place that we all go to. How many of you use ReadWorks? It's free, it's simple. You go to ReadWorks, you pull a short text, and it can be related to what's in your core reading program. Then you're going to read through that short text and pull out your academic vocabulary or your academic language, the words or phrases that the students need to make sense of the particular text. It's not always spelling words. Again, it's not all vocabulary words, but it's the words that the students need to make sense of the text. So then this is where your old school teaching practices come in. You're going to take those words and put them on index cards, or you can, print them in large print and cut them out for students, because they are going to have to manipulate the words in this particular strategy. And make sure you make multiple sets of these words, because students are going to work in small groups or pairs. So you want each group to have the same information. You'll also need color paper, and I'll explain that shortly. And you'll have to find a visual aid. So this is all your pre-planning before you engage students in this strategy. So step 1, exploring the words. So remember, I said you'd have to read the short passage, the short text, pull out the academic vocabulary words or phrases, and put them on index cards. And these little gray boxes with blue borders represent the index cards that you would possibly cut out. And so you will give the stack to the students, and the students will sort through the vocabulary. And on their desk, they'll have a white page that says words we know. Then they'll have the colored page with words we don't know. The reason why I say use a colored piece of paper for them to place the words they don't know on is because think about your 2nd or 3rd grade students, and you don't give them a specific area to place, or this colored piece of paper to place the words they don't know on. What's going to happen? All the words are going to wind up in one location on the desk, and you're not going to know the words they don't know. So the purpose of the colored paper is for you to for you to be able to easily walk around the room and identify the words the students say they do not know. And so that's the purpose of that colored paper I mentioned earlier. But on this side, but for the words they do know, what you'll do is have the students, you'll give them their directions. They're going to take turns making a self-to vocabulary connection by taking the word and saying the word blank reminds me of whatever it is in his or her life. The word blank is like, and the word, I heard the word blank, and they'll tell when or where they heard that particular word. So they're familiarizing in this first step, they're familiarizing themselves with the vocabulary and thinking about it a little bit more, as opposed to just the teacher telling them what the vocabulary is. They're going to participate in the productive struggle, if you will. So that's step one. They manipulate, they sort in step one. Step two of the focus on academic vocabulary is connecting two words. So of the words that they do know, they're going to pick two, and they're going to say, I think word A and word B go together because. So now they're thinking about the association of the words. They're not just looking at it as vocabulary words that I got to know. They're actually taking the time to process what these words have in common or why they would go together. And so they'd be working in their pairs. And after a short period of time, you will bring them back together and you'll ask the students their responses. What did their group come up with, or what did their pair come up with? Why do they think these two words come together or go together? And this is you understanding what they understand. Step three in this focus on academic vocabulary, the students are going to link three words together to make a sentence. So they already ciphered what the words they know and they don't know. They've made some personal connections to the vocabulary word. And now they're going to try to come up with a claim based on what they know about the words. So they'll get three words and they'll say, I think blank and blank and blank go together because. Word A, word B, word C go together because. And this is all done before they even read the story, the short piece of text. This is going to become their claim. Now they're going to have to add linking words in here to make a claim, but they're going to make a claim before they read. Okay? So this is kind of anticipation, seeing if they can use the vocabulary accurately, if they understand it correctly. And they'll have time in the end to go back and modify, but at least you're trying to see if they are taking on this challenge to see if they're able to manipulate this vocabulary and learn from it. Any questions with round one, the focus on academic vocabulary, before we move forward? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. So now, this is the time where we go into breakout rooms. Ms. Stokes, were you able to create breakout rooms?
Yes, I'm about to do it now.
Okay. So in your breakout room, you're going to go to Jamboard and you're going to see this particular slide. And when you get to Jamboard, you'll see that I don't know how many people are on Ms. Stokes, but group one is going to complete slide one, group two, slide two, group three, slide three, group four, slide four, and so on, for however many groups Ms. Stokes has placed you in.
I'm creating eight rooms.
Okay, so there are 10 slides, but so there's enough to accommodate.
So do you want me to create 10 rooms?
No, you can do 8.
Okay, because
however many you already planned on it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So when you get to this particular, to your particular slide in your group, you will see this. And these are sticky notes. The sticky notes can be modified. So you can shrink them, you can move them and place them accordingly on the line that it represents. Also, you'll see here, this red piece of paper, keeping in mind you're acting as a student, not one of the bad ones, but you're acting as a student learning, and you'll place any of the words that you're unfamiliar with on this red piece, in this red box. Lastly, you're going to complete your sentence here and write your claim based on what you think, the associations you've made from the vocabulary. And to do that, you'll select a text box and start typing your sentence there. You're going to do this as a group. And we'll give you, let's say, 3 to 4 minutes, Ms. Stokes. You think that's enough time? Too much?
Yes. Whatever you say.
About 5 minutes, maybe.
5 minutes sounds great. 5 minutes.
5 minutes sounds great. So you'll be placed in your breakout rooms for 5 minutes to manipulate the slides and to answer these questions, making connections to the words that are on your slide. Again, yes, ma'am.
How are we going to get access? Are you going to send a link or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. There you go. I am putting it in the chat right now. Thank you for reminding me. The link to the Jamboard is listed in the chat. So when you are placed, hey, Ms. Jackson, I see you already joined. When you're placed in your groups, remember group 1 is going to complete slide 1, group 2, slide 2, group 3, slide 3, and so on. And after 5 minutes, we will come back together as a group and we will share out. Any questions before we break out in groups? All right.
I'm about to push the button.
Push the button. Have fun. So, Ms. Jackson, what are you thinking thus far? Or are you working on something else? You're muted. I was just asking what you think about.
I'm working on it. It's working.
Oh, you're in here working. So I just don't know which group you're in.
Yeah, no, I'm on my Jamboard working.
What do you think of it though, to have students?
What do I think? I think it's a good idea.
Thus far,
yeah. It's, granted I'm teaching first grade still, so my list
it'd be harder.
Words would not be this much.
No, no.
But the sentence starters and all of that, so that they can get their mind going, that helps not only build their academic language, it'll build their writing skills if you make them write it down afterwards.
Correct.
So that they can practice their capitalization, their penmanship, and their punctuation.
Mm-hmm.
And it just gives them a way to get started on their thought process for when they're going to actually start writing and big papers.
That is the end result, is to give them that jump start. To think. Yes, to think and to share their ideas, because like for me, amuse, I put down that, amuse is something I find reminds me of something funny, but somebody else might, find it of something that, not maybe funny, right,
but, oh, that's different, interesting kind of stuff.
And of course, their words won't be these words. They'll be very simple.
Right.
But nonetheless, they're words they need to acquire, not just for school, but for life. All right. I have been asked to go into a breakout room. Let me see. All right. So the breakout sessions have closed and everyone is coming back into the main session. So group 1, let's share out. I see you guys worked. You didn't get around to completing your claim. However, tell me, someone from group 1, just unmute and let me know your thoughts about this type of activity so far. Because I see you guys have moved a lot around and you were making connections.
Dr. Miss Crawford, Miss Grace, she's also sitting over here with me. We were saying, well, we just kind of telling you what we like about it. One of the things that we kind of came up with is that we thought of this being like a nice activity since ACAP is about to come up.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids just making connections. And one of the things that I kind of got from this is like it's very meaningful because you get to see if the children really know the meaning of the words. Correct. That's another, because we were kind of seeing like, did this word go together? And why do you think this word goes together? And then I also, even working with Miss Crawford, like I got to just hear her perspective on the words, because we know that some words have more than one meaning. I think those called homophone. That sound like one of them is something like homophone or something like that. Correct. But that's kind of what we kind of got. We was kind of sitting here talking about it. I said that'll be a really great, a good game, as you were telling us earlier, to have a simple classroom. So,
that what you said, the multiple meanings of words. Everybody won't know all the meanings there are for each word. So that is a good perspective. I didn't think of that. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Now, I did try this at a school in a second grade classroom with the teacher. We kind of co-taught. And we walked around and the students were just picking up the cards, like trying to pronounce them, like, I don't know this word. Can you tell me what this word means? I don't know this word. So most of their cards were placed on that colored sheet. And so that let the teacher know, I really need to go back and just teach basic, language, basic skills on some of these words, because students shouldn't be struggling with these simplistic words. But it's just a lesson that the teacher had to learn to go back and provide some more instruction in. But thank you. I appreciate you sharing out. Anyone from group 2? You didn't get around to writing your claim, but tell me what your claim would have been. I don't know who was in group 2 there. Anyone? And we only have 15 minutes left.
I think that group 2, I had popped in that room. I think they were having difficulty accessing their
okay.
slides. So that might be why there's nothing for that one. I told them just to do one.
That's group 3. And what do you guys think about using this as a Jamboard with your older students? Now, I know grades 1 and 2, maybe 3 may not be able to handle Jamboards, but to add the technology enhanced piece, what do you think about putting this on a Jamboard?
I know in our group, this is Ms. Powell with group 4. Mm-hmm. We actually made it to the Jamboard and we put in the words, but we didn't get to the sentence. We was doing the sentences as we was exiting out of the room. Mm-hmm. But I like it for first grade if the words could be, those words are kind of advanced.
Correct, they are.
No, they wouldn't know the meaning, but they would enjoy it so much just trying to figure out words that's probably grade level friendly for first grade, mm-hmm. and using those words in different ways on that Jamboard.
Correct. Now, again, that goes to the pre-planning. You as the teacher going in and reading the short text to make sure it accommodates what your students' needs are. It's exactly. Not too advanced, but it does provide just that much more of a challenge for them to think about.
Right. And that's just some conversation we had with group 4 in our little breakout room. Okay.
And I see group 6, you guys were really working because you were putting different color sticky notes about your connections. So that's pretty good too. All right, so thank you for that. We will return to the presentation. So I hope you got something out of just that little activity. So now that you have explored the words and the phrases and you were trying to make sense of it and make personal connections to these, now it's time to make a connection to a visual. So again, back to pre-planning, you would, as the teacher, find either a picture or a graph or a very short video that will allow the students to take all the connections to the words and put it with the picture or the chart or the graph to really further that understanding of what he or she is about to read. So here is the picture that you're going to associate your words with. And I want someone to report out and let me know what your thoughts are. And this is based on all the words that you manipulated.
Dr. Williams, you want us to post it in the chat room or you want to post it to the Jamboard?
You can post it in the chat, or you can just let me know. Just tell me what your thoughts are, your connections based on the words. How do the words connect to this picture?
So are we picking the picture, or is it displayed somewhere?
This picture, can you see this picture on the screen?
No.
No.
You don't see it? Oh,
no, we don't see anything.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. That's why.
I was gonna find a picture.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. I thought we were finding our own picture.
I know.
No, I'm sorry. So do you see it now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we see it.
Okay. So using the words that you manipulated, how do they connect to this picture?
I know one that we manipulated in group 4 was when we paired liar with fools you. Yes. So I think this would be a good representation here, because we know the fable, the little boy just keeps lying and lying and lying. He keeps fooling the townspeople until the wolf actually comes. So I do see how both of those words tied in.
Okay.
Exactly.
That was good, Mr. Gray.
Very good.
In group 6, we had terror and in terror, and you can see the terror on their face, the fear on their face, and that they're fleeing in terror from the wolf.
There, exactly. Very good. Anyone else?
Treat. Looks like he's been treated.
Yes. Tricked. All right. So that's the next step. Just making sure students they have a visual to connect the words that they just manipulated, so they can move forward in the next step. The next round is structured reading. So you guys participated on January 3rd in a turnaround training on close reading. So this is just another strategy to help implement close reading, because your students may not necessarily be able to circle and underline and annotate on their own. But these steps in the structured reading process will help students get to that point if your students are not prepared to do close reading on their own. So as you said, the story is basically the boy who cried wolf, or the shepherd boy and the wolf, as is listed in ReadWorks. So step 1 in the structured reading process, again, they're in small groups or in pairs, right? So step 1 is an individual task. The students are reading this particular short text to themselves, by themselves, independently. Step 2 would be for them to read it again, because remember, close reading requires students to read the text multiple times. So the second step in this close read is for the students to take all of the academic vocabulary words and put them in order as they are printed in the text. So again, they're manipulating the vocabulary. And now this allows them to see how the words are used in the text if you're placing them in order. So these first 2 steps are independent. The third step is I read to my partner, Miss Stokes, and Miss Stokes checks to make sure her words are in order. Then Miss Stokes is going to read to me and make sure the words are in order. And so then of course, in between each of these, you're bringing them back. You know, they're working independently. Then before step 2, you bring them back and explain to them what step 2 is going to be. You send them out to place everything in order. You bring them back, and you clarify any misunderstandings. And, you know, it's that kind of ebb and flow, that back and forth between whole group and small group that keeps the students' attention. Because we know if you allow students to work too long independently on their own, they'll be off task. And if you talk too much, the students are going to be off task. But if you keep having that back and forth with them between each of these steps, the students are more likely to stay on task. So then after they place the academic vocabulary words in order of the text, they will scan the text and underline the words. So now here's another piece of tactile activity that they can participate in. Now they're underlining that close read, seeing where it is in the text. And the last step in the structured reading is to highlight evidence that supports the claim. Remember, back here, you were writing a claim based on how you manipulated words of what you think you will learn in the story. So you'll take that claim and you're going to find the evidence in the story to support it. Now, at this point, I'm sorry. Somebody's mic is on. So at this point, this is where you ask the students, was your claim correct? If not, what would you change? You engage them in that discussion, okay? So that's the close reading. It goes in 5 steps, but this is how many times these students are going to read this particular short story to get an understanding and make association with the words. And this is just a link to the actual short story itself in ReadWorks. And so the 4th and final round of acquiring academic language is the structured writing piece. So now that they've read it multiple times, they've manipulated vocabulary, they've annotated the text, now they're actually going to write. So they're going to take that claim that they wrote and you're going to structure it in just a paragraph. They're not writing an essay. It's just a simple paragraph. You're going to show them how to take their introductory sentence, go back in the areas where they highlighted evidence, create some sentences to support that claim, and they're going to write those sentences, and then they're going to write a concluding sentence. So they're only writing one paragraph that relates to the story that they just read. Any questions? We have to begin incorporating writing into these activities, these reading activities, because reading and writing go together. Again, writing is not something that's done on one day a week, every Friday we're going to write. Students should be writing immediately after they read or while they read. It helps them understand the text better, it helps them make connections better, and they can express their thoughts immediately after writing and not waiting until Friday to do so. And this will also allow you to allow students or guide students in using some of the sentence structures they learn in their writing workshop sessions that you lead. Like Ms. Jackson, you mentioned using capital letters, using punctuation, using adverbs, using adjectives to describe, using transition words. This is where you bring it all together so they can see writing is not something separate. All right, any questions? That does conclude this particular PD on academic language, acquiring academic language. And again, this is a strategy that was shared at the WIDA conference this past September. However, I believe that this is a particular strategy that can be used for all students. And again, the school or the teacher that I tried this with at Highland Avenue, it was very interesting. And even the students said it was challenging, but they had fun doing it. And so she and I are going to get back together and find another story that we can use the same strategy on, or same strategy with. So do you guys have any questions, any comments that you'd like to share prior to us concluding for the day and you going home and making that big dinner for everybody?
Ms. Williams, Dr. Williams.
Yes.
I only have 18 people that have signed in. So if you all have not signed in on the Google form that's in the chat, please do so at this time, because that's where I'm going to do attendance for credit for the session. And thank you all for attending this afternoon.
Dr. Williams, I had a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
The very first thing you said was key. Academic vocabulary is used in all content areas. Because I'm a math teacher And so many times I have to remind the kids when we talk about fractions, they let us say that top number.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the name. What that bottom.
Right.
But thanks. Nice, great workshop. Awesome.
Thank you. And if any of you would like for me to come and assist you with the planning process or co-teach with implementation, any way I can support you, please do not hesitate to contact me. I will be there for you. I will support you. I'll help pull resources, whatever you need. Just contact me. Let me know. Reach out. I am here to support you. And thank you all for the compliments. I do appreciate it. And I hope you have an enjoyable evening. And don't forget to sign in so you can get your credit. That's all I have, Ms. Stokes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Thank